Tonight, grain farmers on the Eyre Peninsula march ahead despite multiple spanners in the works this harvest season. And beware of the dog sellers. Spencer Gulf Police issue warnings for would-be puppy purchasers this Christmas.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Harvest has once again rolled around, albeit a little bit later than expected, due to the sheer amount of rainfall we've copped this November. Nonetheless, farmers on the Eyre Peninsula remain optimistic, jumping on their headers, letting the reaping begin.
It's no secret that it's been a wet spring, and as a result, this year's harvest was delayed, the recent run of rainfall posing a threat to the quality of grain.
The good thing about the rain is it allowed crops to finish off beautifully, and so we've got some really good yields out here. The problem is, because of the wet, we're having some quality issues.
Some farmers opting for a sleep-in, with high amounts of moisture covering crops in the mornings.
Lots of times you don't get going till 3, 4 o'clock and you get 2 or 3 hours reaping and then pull up the moisture. It depends which way the wind's blowing. If it's coming from the east, it affects the hell out of us around Port Lincoln because it comes off the sea.
The weather also bringing with it a range of insects, which have infiltrated their crop. Farmers delivering grain are being turned away.
Those insects breed up, so things like ladybugs, earwigs, millipedes, spiders, and the list goes on, and we're getting a lot more of that in our crop sample, and that's led to delivery issues. It certainly has for me with the rejection of grain.
Receival standards forever changing, making things harder for grain growers at the terminals.
Our receival standards get tighter and tighter every year in regards to what they accept for us in regards to insects and things in their grain.
The increasing cost of fuel also a concern.
We're paying $2.25 a litre for fuel. No one's saying nothing, yet the price of a barrel of oil was cheaper now than it was 5 years ago.
Farmers are hoping to see warmer days with the first day of summer right on the doorstep. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
York Mid-North Police have issued a reminder to the community about potential puppy scammers in the lead up to Christmas. One of the main takeaways is if it's too good to be true, it probably is. Scammers' tactics are sophisticated and often convincing. Sometimes even the most vigilant of people are duped. To reduce your chances of becoming a victim of puppy scammers, police have compiled a list of things to consider. Verify if the breeder's website or social media page is legitimate and search the provided ABN and BSB numbers. Then Google search the breeder's address. Breeders are required to have a kennel address at their facilities, and their facilities need to be inspected, regulated and approved by authorities. Another thing to compare is pricing with other advertised dogs, and you can also request a breakdown of services required and ask to view photos or videos of the puppy's life to ensure they're not sending you stock images. And perhaps most importantly, a dog is not a Christmas gift. It's a 10 to 15 year investment. Ken Anderson was sworn in as the new mayor of the Flinders Rangers Council last night, following his surprise win over the incumbent Greg Flint. The new council also elected a new deputy mayor and back to using acknowledgements to country in a historic shift.
The start of a long night at Flinders Rangers Council. Ken Anderson was sworn in as the newest mayor of the region.
Fantastic for all the councillors that got sworn in again tonight, and the new councillors that have started with council. It's fantastic. Very, very good first meeting. We look forward to the next 4 years of a really strong, vibrant council for the community. So, yeah, wonderful times.
The council also electing its deputy mayor via a secret ballot. Patricia Reynolds winning the popular vote.
I feel very honoured that the fellow councillors have this faith in me, and just a little bit overwhelmed at the moment.
Councillors also backed using acknowledgement to country for the traditional owners of the region in a historic move by the council and will be used at official events. The new mayor also reiterated his desire for closer and better relations with neighbouring councils, especially Port Augusta.
That's coming up in December, early December, so we're all going to get together and have a forum with the CEOs to discuss regional issues, regional way ahead, and the opportunities that we've got in front of us. So yeah, looking forward to that one too.
Flinders Rangers Council reconvenes next month as committees and council roles are set in motion. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australians can now purchase the country's first own brand carbon neutral beef product. Coles Natural Livestock Manager will explain what this means for customers and the environment.
A steak dinner without the guilt trip.
We've been working on this carbon neutral beef range for over 2 years now, working with 10 farmers currently, but expanding it out another 4 over the next 12 months.
The beef range is certified carbon neutral from paddock to shelf, in accordance with the Australian Government's Climate Active Carbon Neutral Standard. Essentially, this means certified businesses must reduce emissions where possible and offset the remaining emissions.
Work with a company in Toowoomba, Integrity Ag and Environment, which has done the full footprint from our farmers right through the processing, through to even in our stores to ensure that the whole calculation is correct.
Farmers offset emissions through a range of initiatives, such as on-farm tree planting, increased productivity and soil carbon sequestration, the process of storing CO2 in the soil rather than the atmosphere. And Coles isn't done yet, with plans to expand their range in the future.
To keep bringing more farmers on board as the demand increases and customers increase, we'd like to think we can increase the range as well, perhaps in the sausages. And
Coles carbon neutral beef range is now available for purchase at all South Australian stores, including right here in Port Pirie. So look no further for tonight's dinner. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, next year's annual Salt Festival kicking off early. The official program now being finalised. And the Port Augusta footy player drafted to play for St Kilda. Welcome back. It's been a short turnaround for the annual Salt Festival, with the event looking to go one better with next year's program. Kicking things off next Monday with guest speaker Ross Garno, launching his new book.
Salt Festival has wasted no time, set to host its first event next week. Ross Garno is back and he is bringing the release of his new book with him.
As a taste of salt, we're very fortunate to have Professor Ross Garno coming to visit Port Lincoln on Monday, and that's going to be absolutely brilliant to have such a world-recognised economist.
The day will give people a chance to listen to an expert on climate change, discussing issues on hydrogen, steel, exports and carbon capture in landscape, issues close to the hearts of Spencer Gulf locals.
He's doing a book launch effectively, and that's Superpower Transformation, which is the next version of his very successful book, Superpower. And that's really talking about the whole renewable energy transformation of Australia.
It's only a teaser of what Salt has on offer. The chairman says next year's program is being finalised and is only weeks away from being released.
The response to Salt with contributors as well, and what we've got in terms of visiting artists is amazing. I think it's going to be one of the best festivals ever. Tickets for Monday's talk with Ross can now be booked online. Anybody can come along, and I think it'll be of interest to everybody. And there'll be people there from local government, there might be people there from the community, there might be people involved in activities or events.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Good news for those living in regional New South Wales who are wanting to get into the music industry, because Music New South Wales is now scouting for more workers, with 5 roles up for grabs. The jobs are part of the Regional Music Officer program, with the aim to deliver opportunities and work to expand touring circuits across the state. The organisation is hiring 1 regional manager and 4 regional coordinators. For more information, head to the New South Wales Music website. Port Augusta has once again produced another potential footy superstar, following the draft pick last night. Former South Augusta player Isaac Keeler, who currently plays for North Adelaide in the Sandful comp, has been picked by St Kilda. Keeler was number 44 during the draft, with the 18-year-old known for his strong goal-kicking abilities, which made him stand out ahead of the draft. He'll join fellow Saints draftees James Van Es, Matthias Philippou and Ollie Houghton. Stay with us after the break. Port Pirie art students put their hard work on display at the regional gallery. And no competition, Jesters absolutely dominate in the Broken Hill Netball Association Grand Final. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News this Wednesday. If you're looking for something to do this week, the Port Pirie Regional Art Gallery is hosting the annual Youth Art Exhibition, showcasing artwork of young people aged between 5 and 25 years. But that's not all that's going on at the gallery.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas at the Port Pirie Regional Art Gallery, with plenty for the children to see and experience.
If the kids want to drop off their letter, we'll make sure, along with Australia Post, that those letters get to Father Christmas. Our library is also running a program called Give the Gift of Reading, so you can drop children's books into either the Port Pirie Regional Library or the Crystal Brook Library up until December the 3rd.
There's a brand new exhibition on display. Everything from wood turnings, textiles, paintings and computer-generated artwork. The exhibition is a chance to see just how talented the local youth are and the opportunities schools have been provided with throughout the year.
Behind me we've got some artwork made by the kids from John Pirie Secondary School, which is really wonderful.
The impressive artwork will be on display until Sunday, December the 11th. But don't fret, there is still another exhibition before the end of the year.
And that exhibition is called Harbingers, Care and Catastrophe, and it's actually an amazing exhibition that was recently shortlisted at the Arts SA Ruby Arts Awards for Best Regional Event.
These exhibitions are ones not to miss. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill Netball Association's spring competition came to a close last night, with the 2 best A-grade sides vying for the title. In a season where games were called off due to weather events, attention now turns to upgrading the facility.
It was a fantastic evening for some netball, with the undefeated Jesters taking out the A-grade final, beating West Flames Black 34-12, and the season exceeded the committee's expectations.
This is our second season for 2022. We call it our spring season. I actually think it went off without a hitch. It was really, really good. We had a lot of interested teams that come back from the first season this year.
Just before finals, the association had its AGM, with Ms McManus taking over as the new president. She is looking forward to working with the committee to help netball thrive in the Silver City.
Really looking forward to working with the committee members to really establish Broken Hill netball, cement ourselves in to make sure we're not going anywhere if we end up going through with a redevelopment. So it'll be challenging, but in the good ways.
Like with cricket, the weather played havoc this season and a number of rounds were cancelled. The organisation was able to catch up on at least one round before finals started.
However, there were a couple of other games or matches that had to be abandoned throughout the season due to the rain, and that's just something that unfortunately we have to abandon and let sit. So we were able to catch up on one whole round.
Now that the season is over, attention has turned to the upgrades at E.P. O'Neill Memorial Park, the planned revamp part of the agenda at tonight's council meeting.
I believe I'm still actually in the handover stage with the previous president about all this. However, I do believe we are over the 75% design completion. And from what I can hear, that the tender is either out or it's about to go out.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. A tiny bit of hip pocket relief when filling up at servos this week. And we're just hours away from summer. We'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. A bit of early Christmas cheer across the regions this week, with some relief when it comes to filling up at the Bowsers. Here's Daniel Pizarro with this week's Fuel Watch.
After witnessing some extremely high fuel prices across the region last week, things are starting to look better in most regional areas. First, looking at unleaded, and prices fell across the region. Port Lincoln, Whyalla, Port Augusta and Broken Hill all dropped below $1.90, with prices in Port Augusta dropping by about 8 cents per litre to just under $1.84. Port Pirie and Kadina have the cheapest average prices at the moment at around $1.82 per litre. Meanwhile, prices in Adelaide rose by almost 2 cents per litre. Moving on to diesel prices now, and we've seen some major price drops. Port Pirie saw the biggest decrease in price, going down by almost 18 cents per litre from last week to just under $2.15. Fill up while you can. Port Augusta also fell to just under $2.20, a drop of almost 10 cents per litre. Broken Hill also saw large decreases in the price. You can get diesel in the Silver City for just over $2.25 per litre. But as always, Adelaide has the cheapest price at just under $2.15 per litre. And those Autogas fans will see only a few shifts in the price of the Bowser this week. It's steady in Port Lincoln, Whyalla, Kadina and Broken Hill from last week, but the price for LPG has dropped in Port Pirie to just under $1.12 per litre. Adelaide, you can fetch gas for just under 92 cents per litre. But Port Augusta bucked the trend, with prices increasing this week to just under $1.26, up 3 cents from last week. With mostly falling prices, it's a good time to fill up at the pump and save money for Christmas. That's it for this week's Fuel Watch.
In Port Augusta, locals have noticed a number of red ribbons being strung around poles, trees and statues. And it's thanks to Port Augusta City Council. Councillors, staff and CEO John Banks walked around the CBD and foreshore today, tying ribbons upon the trees and statues as part of the Christmas spirit and getting the councillors out and about. Meantime, a massive Christmas tree has also been completed at Central Oval this week. There's now just 25 days until Christmas. How exciting. Well, it's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, we've been spruiking this for a few days now, but summer really is just around the corner.
4.5 hours and counting, Maddie. We've got some warm temperatures coming our way, that is for sure. As for today, it was a pretty standard November day in places like Port Augusta. The Jewel of the North reaching 26.5 degrees, which is a fraction below the average temperature for this time of year. Elsewhere, 27 the top in Broken Hill. Kadina reached 21 degrees this afternoon. Looking more broadly at today's weather map, 31 in Cooper Pedy, sunny in Woodna, 27 degrees. 25 in Port Pirie, Port Lincoln reached just 19 today. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a northerly airstream will be over South Australia on the weekend ahead of a low pressure trough moving into the west of the state on Sunday. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, tending southeasterly in the evening. Seas between 1 and 1.5 metres, and south to southwesterly swell around a metre, increasing to 2 metres. Cloud clearing around Port Lincoln, set to reach a high of 22 degrees for the first day of summer. Sunny in Cleve, 25, Woodna warm and 31. Blue skies around Whyalla between 13 and 27 degrees. Port Augusta sunny at top of 31, 27 degrees on the way for Kadina. It will feel like summer in Port Pirie, set to be a sunny 29 degrees there tomorrow. Sunny in Clare as well, 25 degrees, and Broken Hill a top of 28 and sunny. Taking a look further through the week now, starting with Friday's forecast. Sunny conditions right across the Gulf. 36 degrees on the way for Woodna. Next warmest is 35 degrees in Port Augusta and Cooper Pedy. 31 in Port Pirie. Broken Hill will have extreme UV rays, so don't skip the sunscreen. 31 degrees. Moving on to Saturday's forecast now. The only region where shade will be in the far west of New South Wales. Broken Hill heading for a top of 33. 38 is the forecast maximum for Port Augusta. 37 in Cooper Pedy and Port Pirie. 34 in Whyalla, Kadina and Adelaide. And finally, taking a quick look at Sunday's outlook, it will be an uncomfortable top of 41 degrees in Woodna. Sunny conditions. Stay indoors if you can. Port Augusta and Cooper Pedy heading for a very warm 39 degrees. 38 in Port Pirie. 36 in Kadina and Whyalla, Adelaide and Broken Hill heading for tops of 35, while Port Lincoln will be the only centre under 30 degrees, 29 the top on Sunday. Can't complain with 29 degrees, 41 degrees though is a bit of a different story. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. I'll see you soon with an update. It's back to you, Maddie.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Wednesday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.